SoFi seemed to be in the hot seat for the past few weeks after their earnings call. Right now, it's cruising around $18 per share. But the question is, are we selling SoFi stock?
No.
No?
If you're holding long term and something awful doesn't happen within the fundamentals of SoFi, then we think everything's going to be alright. We actually bought some more when it dipped. We've been covering SoFi since May, and if you're looking to do due diligence on the stock, then check out our SoFi playlist. If you're new to SoFi, in this video we'll be going over 10 things you didn't know about SoFi. Welcome to Wealth Gambit. On this channel we bring you interesting insights into stocks, fundamental analysis, and the latest news. Although we do like to see everyone make a lot of money, we're not financial advisors, so always do your own due diligence. We're going to be covering some very interesting points in this video, so make sure to stick through to the very end so you don't miss anything. Also, shout out to Steph and D. We're definitely right here buying the dip with you. With that being said, let's crack right into this. Number 1, SoFi has ties to Uber, Amazon, Intuit, NFL, Tesla, and Goldman Sachs. SoFi has the dream team that any fintech could ever dream of. As we all know, SoFi CEO Anthony Noto formerly worked as Twitter's chief operating officer, and he was also a top analyst slash managing director of Goldman Sachs and a chief financial officer of the NFL, which are all pretty big companies in their respective industries. But let's take a look at his co-pilots. Behind SoFi's growth is a team of individuals that rightfully collected all experiences from different companies that enabled SoFi to get to where it is right now. Chris LaPointe, SoFi's CFO, formerly worked as the director of Uber for 3 years, and he was the vice president of TMT investment banking in Goldman Sachs even before he worked in SoFi. SoFi's chief people officer, Anna Avalos, used to lead HR for Tesla's EMEA region. Lauren Webb, SoFi's current chief marketing officer, also has some competent background as she worked in Intuit, a global technology firm that creates financial software for consumers, for almost 2.5 years. On top of that, she also stayed in Procter & Gamble as a senior brand manager for 8 years. And for those who have seen the video of us talking about Amazon and SoFi, the star behind that is Maria Renz, who currently holds a position of executive vice president in consumer finance and wealth management in SoFi. Maria brings a lot of value to SoFi because she spent over 20 long years of her life as Amazon's asset in leadership. These aren't random people that were picked off the street with no experience. SoFi's leadership team is filled with true professionals that are experts in their respective fields. Everyone brings something unique to the table. Teamwork makes the dream work. Number 2, SoFi is a 6-time ranker in CNBC's Disruptor 50. Even when it was only 2 years young, SoFi managed to be one of the biggest rankings on one of the world's leading platforms for business news, CNBC. Last year, the company made it to the top 8, breaking its highest record of top 25 last 2015. Number 3, SoFi started off at Stanford doing student loan refinancing and primarily focused on Gen Z and Millenials. Anthony Noto constantly says SoFi is a one-stop shop, but it wasn't always like that. Back when SoFi first started, it joined the competition of about $1 trillion market on student loans. SoFi was able to do this first at Stanford University's Graduate School of Business, and it gathered about a $2 million pool of funds. On a school-by-school basis, SoFi found alumni that were interested in investing, then matched them up with student borrowers who wanted lower interest rates. That's pretty genius considering how expensive student loans are. No wonder it already reached a valuation that directly competes with not only the fintech giants, but also with the banks in its earlier days. Since then, SoFi has added tons of products and services and is now around 4 times bigger than it was 6 years ago. And this is why analysts are calling SoFi the company with the fastest growth in consumer finance. Now, student loans aren't the only focus of SoFi. Whether borrowing, saving, or investing, SoFi's got your back. Number 4, SoFi has already launched its international footprint in Hong Kong, and it's hungry for more growth. If you followed SoFi in our channel for a while, then you might know this. If you didn't know this, comment SoFi Hong Kong down below. It was last year when SoFi expanded into Hong Kong through a company named 8 Securities. There they offered SoFi Invest, which made more money for SoFi. But did you know in late 2017, the company pulled back plans for international expansion? Anyways, the Wall Street Journal featured SoFi a few years ago, and it turns out that SoFi already planned to do business in Australia and Canada and further speed up the company's growth. There were changes of plans, but aside from SoFi Hong Kong, the company is also expanding in Latin America today, which was made possible by Galileo that's gaining clients from Mexico. Number 5, about 2,441 employees make up SoFi, and at the time of recording this, around 20% of SoFi's shares are dominated by insiders. There's a saying that if you don't believe in what you're selling, neither will your prospect. Perhaps this sums up why SoFi is thriving today. If more insiders own the stock, they could be more incentivized to make sure the company does well. We can all go back to the logic behind insiders buying shares. Insiders buy and hold because they believe in the company's future. You know you're out of luck when you're investing in a stock that's been rated by many insiders selling out their stakes. Number 6, Anthony Noto didn't start SoFi. It was founded by Mike Cagney, Dan Macklin, James Finnigan, and Ian Brady when they met at Stanford. So it wasn't really Anthony Noto who created SoFi. These guys teamed up and formed SoFi when they graduated from Stanford Business School. SoFi initially registered as a lender in California, and when the school had a pilot run in 2011, 40 alumni were able to give out loans to about 85 to 100 students who borrowed $20,000 each. That sums up about the $2 million cost of funds they collected from just that pilot run. 40 universities, include Duke, Indiana, Wisconsin, and UCLA, were involved in the student financing product of SoFi that includes both graduate and undergraduate programs when it was building up its brand years ago. On the other hand, Anthony Noto brought years of skillful experiences from Twitter, Goldman Sachs, and the NFL before joining SoFi as the CEO. Number 7, Neobank or digital bank? SoFi can be both. We're down to our last 3. Have you heard of our Battle of the FinTech videos? If you did, you're a real one. If you haven't, go check those out. SoFi is set to disrupt the financial service industry, and when they say they want it, they will get it. To keep everything simple, neobanks are said to be those companies that don't own brick and mortar branches. They just work purely digital, while digital banks are simply the right arm of traditional banks. Digital banks work through online apps when you want to transfer money, pay bills, apply for credit cards, all in one sitting if you don't want to bother yourself with an over-the-counter transaction. SoFi is a neobank that wants to get a license to become a real bank, but then neobanks have a pretty narrow range of product lines, and the bank charter now gets a spotlight as neobanks can improve their offerings through bank charters that cut out the middleman when providing services, and on top of that, it will also give them more opportunities to diversify offerings. SoFi acquired Golden Pacific Bank Corp earlier this year just to speed up the bank charter approval process. So, when a traditional bank teams up with a neobank, SoFi becomes a 2-in-1 fintech that's ready to fly to the moon. Number 8, SoFi's marketing is years ahead of their competition. When Peter Drucker said that business only has 2 functions, marketing and innovation, Commander Noto took it very seriously and started killing the game in the industry of fintech. Last 2018, SoFi took efforts in bringing in-house teams to collaborate and further improve the company's brand across all platforms that will gain them more productivity, especially when SoFi has just started branching out products from a simple student loan to a much more broad scope of offering. SoFi continues to invest in what they believe will do well for its brand in the near future. It's no doubt that they could spend $500,000 for naming rights of a stadium just to promote the company, along with a brand campaign on TikTok that pays a lot of people for just dancing. Number 9, SoFi hasn't paid out any dividend yet. Like a regular shareholder, of course, you'd be glad when the company declares out dividends. SoFi, like most growth companies, is focused on growing. With that being said, companies don't tend to give out dividends until they are fully mature. SoFi, as a fairly young company, probably won't be giving out dividends anytime soon. Number 10, SoFi is at its second shot for the bank charter. We're all waiting for the big day, but did you know that it's SoFi's second try at getting the bank charter approval? The first one failed following the suit of the former CEO. This time, Commander Noto's heading for the path with a higher IQ move, because instead of a slow and not really steady plan to establish a bank from its roots, it has acquired a company that speeds up the process of becoming a bank. That wraps it up for today's video, guys. Where do you see SoFi going in the next few months? Are you taking advantage of buying the dip? If you found any value in this video, please smash that like button. It helps the channel out a lot. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Until next time, peace.